On Archer, I'd love it to work because he's a local lad, he's a striker, he does the hardest thing in the game, which is score goals. He's got a great celebration as well. But when is he going to get his chance? Like, in my opinion, he deserves to, but let's be real, he won't.
Do you think Archer will be here next season?
In my opinion, I don't think he will, because what is the point in kind of stockpiling a 21-year-old when he can clearly score goals, at least in the Championship, and who knows, if Borough go up, maybe they'd buy him, and that would probably solve the issue for him and for us if he wants to go there. But it's not similar to Davis, because Davis was a very different player, but in terms of he left it too late to leave Villa, in my opinion. And for Archer, he doesn't want to stick around and keep doing loan moves in the Championship for another 2 or 3 years. If I was Archer, and again, I'm a diehard Villa fan, but I would get out while I can not to save my career, that sounds dramatic, but to make the most of my career. Yeah, because he's not going to get above Ollie Watkins. He just isn't. Even if he scores goals from off the bench, he won't start over Watkins.
Can they not start together?
No, because then you've got a Duran. Why have we signed Duran? What would be the point in that if you're just in Archer? Plus the new forward who's going to be arriving in the summer. Plus maybe a winger. Plus you still have Leon Bailey, Emi Buendia, who can play alongside Watkins. I just don't think there's space for Archer, and I'd love to make space. If I was the manager, I would make space for him. But I just don't see it happening. Emery clearly, like when Gerrard, I almost thought he was kind of playing to the gallery when he kept him in the summer. Was it this summer? Yeah. Again, it feels like ages ago that Gerrard was here. He scored a couple of goals in pre-season, didn't he, Archer? And it was like, we need to keep him around because he scores goals. And I was like, well, yeah, that's fine, but where are you going to play him? We play one up front, mostly. I know we play two up front sometimes under Gerrard, but mostly it was one. We have Watkins and we have Danny Ings, both players who Gerrard liked. And then we have Archer in reserve, and he'd come on to play against Forest a couple of minutes and come on against West Ham for a couple of minutes. So he was never going to get the minutes. And now under Emery, although we're playing two up front, it doesn't really matter because we just bought in Duran. We're going to buy another striker. Plus, he likes to play with that almost sort of wide player alongside Watkins. So I honestly don't see where Archer fits in that. And again, I'd love him to fit in, but I just don't know where it would be. And for the sake of his, the next 2 or 3 years of his career, I'd rather see him earn a move elsewhere. And hey, if he becomes the top player that we hope he can, I'm sure we'd be one of the first clubs that he'd love to come back to. So I just think for the sake of his own career, he needs to make the right decision, and I hope we allow him to as well.
Just very quickly, you mentioned a couple of times about we'll sign another striker in the summer, and I think I agree, to be honest. What if we don't? What if Emery trusts Watkins, Duran and Archer to be the three? I
get the point, but I don't think he will. Like, we know he's going to. He's already said it a few times that he wants one, and I get the point, Dan, but I just don't think, I can't imagine us not signing a striker. But if that is the case, then Archer, Duran, then I would keep Archer if we're not signing a striker, because then you've got a case of Watkins and Duran would come out, Archer come in, But I don't think that would be enough. I do think you need someone who is ready to complement Watkins, because although goal scoring isn't necessarily an issue for us at the moment, next season you want to have as much firepower as you can get. So is Archer ready to play? Yes, he is. But then if you've got John Duran, who the club clearly not necessarily favour, but why would you spend nearly 20 million quid on him? They probably do. Then that's, if we didn't have Duran, then Archer can play in reserve. But we have Duran and we're going to sign a striker. So,
well, this is probably a question more so for the summer when we know a little bit more. But say Archer does leave in the summer transfer window and it's a permanent deal, what kind of value does that player get you? He's obviously scored goals in the Championship, and if he's getting a move to a Premier League side, that is a different kettle of fish. But selling Carney Chuckmaker, Villa did a great deal over there, getting 20 odd million, was it, from Chelsea?
Chelsea, though.
Yeah, true. That doesn't really mean much, does it, these days? But what's Cameron Archer? What does that kind of profile cost these days? I see this scenario where he's a player who has potential and can go on to have a good career potentially, and we're looking at it going, well, he doesn't quite fit a Villa in this moment, and it's almost right player, wrong time to a certain extent. If Villa had just got promoted or was still in the Championship trying to get out of it, Archer would probably be playing every week and he'd be the main man and the hero and we'd all love him. But because we're trying to progress a little bit ahead of Archer's capabilities at the moment, again, potentially he could come back to Villa and score goals, but it feels like there's a couple of managers now that have sent him out on loan, so that kind of no smoke without fire. I kind of see this scenario where Archer goes out for like 7-8 million on a permanent deal to somebody, and we look at it and go, we got nowhere near enough money for him because now he plays for Bournemouth, say, and he scored 12 goals in the Premier League, and we think, well, we probably should have kept him around.
I think we'd get more than I mean, I would be asking for 15 million. I know Championship clubs won't be able.
I'm just saying like a cut price deal we all look at and go, he's worth more than that.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the risk, but we're not going to be selling the player for less than what he's worth. And if he is worth less than what we think he's worth, then
selling him is the right decision.
Again, he's not going to play. His price isn't going to go up when he's not playing for Villa. If that makes sense. His price is only going to stay or go up once he's out on loan. So at the end of his Middlesbrough loan, if he's scored, let's say, another 5 or 6 goals, so he's 2 or 3 goals at the moment, I think, for Borough. So if he gets near 10, like he did for Preston, we know he can score goals in the Championship, and I think you could probably replicate that in the Premier League. He just hasn't been tested. So if Brighton or Bournemouth, as you say, did sign him, I'd be asking then for more than 10 to 15 million because he's a goal scorer, and so that's the hardest thing to do in football. And the market for strikers is it's mental. So would be in our rights to ask for that. He's an under-21 international for England. He's young. He's clearly got potential. Yeah, at the moment he is not. It doesn't fit with where we want to go. And again, if I was the manager, I'd keep him and try and make use of it. But under Emery, I just don't think he has a long-term future. And again, that's just my opinion. I could be proven wrong, and I hope I am. But yeah, and again, that's only for the benefit of Archer's career, though, for me.